We're Ashan O'Brien, Heather Zanoni, Sheetal Shah. We're going to be talking to you about the water utility in Buenos Aires, Aguas y Saneamientos Argentinos, AISA. Argentina keeps social reform at the forefront of its policy mechanisms and its actions. AISA calls itself a pro-poor public utility, and its mission is to achieve 100% coverage for water and sewerage within its jurisdiction. We've decided to propose policy recommendations that achieve greater equity through greater efficiency, and specifically through a shift in mindset that concerns itself with the profit motive, which is absent at the moment. So efficiency methods that are conducted through this type of filter, we hope will improve their two greatest hurdles, which is pollution and service provision, which will then support social reform.
Another major problem that the water utility has is their operating costs. Their operating costs are not covered by their operating revenue. We recommend increasing revenue through a progressive tariff structure. We definitely want to protect our residential users and also reducing costs through increased sustainable practices, participatory decision making, and also performance-based initiatives. They call it a private utility still, but it's owned 90% by the government, and that's largely controlled by the Ministry of Federal Planning, Public Investment and Services. The Secretary of Water Systems controls all decision-making, planning, and tariff structures. They also are regulated by ACUMAR, which controls the water quality of the Rio de la Plata River Basin. The Water Systems Secretary controls who's appointed to the Board of Directors, who controls AISA.
Majority of the users are residential, but the majority of consumption is non-residential. So this is an interesting dichotomy. The tariff system, fixed fee plus a metering system, and this encourages expansive use of water. On top of this, there's also a social tariff subsidy for those that are low income, but this is currently being removed for those who don't actually need it.
There's a low marginal cost of water, so they have enough to supply to everybody. They just don't have the infrastructure and they can't pay for it.
As of 2010, ISA collected 103,500,000 per billion cubic meters sold, and the cost for those under the poverty line was $2.55 US dollars per month, and then those for over the poverty line was $5.65 per month, and both of these were actually below 5% of the income levels of the respective audiences.
A quick evaluation of the revenue and expenditures revealed two salient points. One is that operating expenses are almost double operating income. Two is that ISA is dependent on federal transfers for both operating and management and for meeting planned investments in the network. Those transfers are heavily funded by loans from entities such as the World Bank. From 2006 to 2011, the government financed investments of $1.265 billion American for infrastructure maintenance, upgrades, and expanding the network. These investments have allowed for increases in service, and most of these have gone to the conurbation. They have an extensive strategy plan which aims at meeting universal coverage.
What are some of the existing obstacles? Service coverage. It's not 100%. That's the mission of ISA. They have water losses, currently about 38%. The excessive consumption of water without any sort of consequence is something that they're challenged with as well. And then their operating income has only covered about 56% of their costs.
We propose restructuring the tariff on both water and sanitation. The water tariff will include a fixed rate for residential users, since this segment of the customer base uses the least volume of water while depending on water the most. Because the marginal cost of water is so low, installing meters is not a good investment. So a higher fixed rate up to a threshold, followed by meter consumption on a sliding scale, is what we propose for commercial properties and condos. For water-intensive industries, bulk rate could be negotiated in return for investing in the water network. For the sanitation tariff, we propose raising the tariff on commercial users based on the area of their properties that has impervious surfaces. There will be incentives for commercial property owners to reduce their sanitation tariff through implementing green infrastructures. We also propose door-to-door bill collection.
We also recommend structure reform. People in the field right now don't have a say in the decision-making process, but if they did, it would be much easier to pinpoint where the inefficiencies exist. We also recommend performance-based salary for managers on specific projects. Finally, we recommend reducing energy costs through a pilot renewable energy project. where they could just use the water they're already controlling to create energy.